Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Chof Aleph Amud Beis, starting with Chof Aleph Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the bottom. The Gemara brings the second drasha of Mari Bar Mar. The first drasha we discussed last time is in regards to the vastness of the Torah. David HaMelech, Iyov, and Yechezkel all describe that the Torah is vast, but they don't explain it until Zechariah Hanavi comes and explains that its vastness is 3,200 times greater than the entire universe. Says the Gemara, Omar Rav Chizda Dorish Mari Bar Mar. My dichsi, what's meant by the following pasuk in Yirmiyahu? V'hinei shnei doidoi te'enim mu'odim lifnei heichal Hashem. Behold, there are 2 pots that are filled with figs that are in front of the heichal of Hashem. The next pasuk goes on to say, Hadud echad te'enim toivois ma'oid ki te'enei habakurois. The first pot contains good quality te'enim that are ripened. We're on top of Chof Aleph Amud Beis. V'hadud echad te'enim rois ma'oid asher lo te'achalna meroya. Whereas the second pot contains poor quality figs that are not even edible. Te'enim hatoivos elu tzadikim gemurim. Te'enim harois elu rishoyim gemurim. He makes a drasha to say that the te'enim that Yirmiyahu Hanavi saw in these pots, the good ones, those were referring to the tzadikim. The bad ones referring to the rishoyim. V'shema, you'll tell me, Toimar, Oivad Silvrom Ubotol Sikuyom, that for the bad ones, the Rishoyim, that there is no hope and there's no chance. Talmud Loimar, Hadudoim Nosnu Royach. The Dudoim, here is referring to the pots, they come out with a good flavored aroma. Elu ve'elu atidin sheitnu reach. These and those in the future will then have good smelling reach of Torah and mitzvahs. Here it's referring to the exile of Bayis Rishon. At the first exile was the Cheresh and Masgir, the tzaddikim. They went out, they were the ones who first were exiled. Only later on were the rest of the Jews left in exile in the Bayis Rishon. Those were the Rishoim. And both Eilu ve'Eilu will have then a Reach Tov, seeking out HaKadosh Baruch Hu and doing tshuva before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the Gemara, Dorash Rova, my Dirsiv, once we bring the pasuk that we meant before of Shir HaShirim, Hadudoim Nosnu Reach, the Dudoim really is a flower that they gave Reach. Eilu Bachurei Yisrael, these refer to the Bachurim, the young men of Klal Yisrael who did not even taste the taste of Chet. They are the ones who have this good Reach. The pasuk goes on to say, after it says, Adudoim nosnu reach v'al pesachenu kol megadim, and our doorways are all of the delicacies. Chadoshim gam yeshonim doidit sofanti loch, both new and old, my beloved, I have hidden for you. Says the Gemara on the next phrase, Al pesachenu kol megadim, and our doors are all of the delicacies. Elu benois Yisrael. These are the Jewish daughters, shemagidois pischeim leba'alehen, that tell their psachim to their husbands. Loshen achrina she'oigidois pischein leba'alehen, or they tie their psachim for their husbands. Let's take a look at Rashi. The second Rashi on the top, Dibra Masel she'agudois, koishrois psachan letzorech ba'alehen, sheinen nivolos la'acherim. This explains the second Lashon in the Gemara that says that the Bnos Yisrael would tie for the soik of their husbands, their psachim, their openings. In other words, their entrance way, as not to then be disloyal and unfaithful to their husbands. So therefore, oigdos is Lashon aguda. Lashon Acher, which is really the first Perush in the Gemara, the first Lashon in the Gemara, says Rashi, Shemagidois Pischein. They would tell their husbands about their openings. Kisheroya dam oimeres lebaila v'yifroish heimena. In other words, they would reveal to their husbands that they're in a state of nida, and therefore they should then desist from being with them. Says the Gemara, weiter to darshan the rest of this pasuk, Chadoshim gam yeshonim, old and also new, doidi tzafanti loch. My beloved, I have hidden it for you. Omra Knesses Yisrael lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Klal Yisrael says before Hashem, Ribono shel Olam harbe gezeiros gezartai al atzmi yois ma shegazarta alai v'kiyamtim. There are many gzeiros that are geyser on myself, referring to the rabbinic enactments, even more than the gzeiros that you made in the Torah, and I have fulfilled all of them. Omar Rav Chizah lahu midrabanon dehava komisader agadte kamei. Rav Chizah said to the Rabbanon the following: Mishmi Allah, did you hear anything about this pasuk Chadoshim gam yeshonim mahu? Did you hear anything about this pasuk of the old ones and also the new ones? Did you hear anything about it? Omar lei. So he said to him, the one who was the Mesad Agada to Rav Chizda, Eilu mitzvahs kalois ve'eilu mitzvahs chamurois. These are referring to the mitzvahs kalois, the lighter mitzvahs, and the, relatively speaking, more stringent mitzvahs. Omar lei, Rav Chizda said back to him, V'chi Torah pamin nitna. Was the Torah given this time and it was given again? It was only one Torah. Ela halalu midivrei Torah, v'halalu midivrei sofrim. The Chadoshim are referring to the divrei sofrim that added safeguards onto the Torah of the Yeshanim. Dorash Rava. My Dirsi, what's meant by the following verse? I'll quote you the entire verse. V'yoiser mehema, beyond all of these, referring to all of these that were given to Moshe Rabbeinu in the Torah, Beni hi zoher, my son, you shall be careful, referring to the rabbinic enactments. Also, Svarim, Harbe, and Kates, the making of Svarim, of many Svarim, there is no end. V'lahag harbe yigias basar, and much thought and learning and study that will bring about the work of the basar, the toiling of the basar. Says the Gemara the following: V'yoiser mehema b'ni hizar. Even more than these, my son, you shall be careful. Asoy svarim harbe, in the making of many svarim. B'ni hizar b'divrei sofrim yoiser b'divrei Torah. My son, be careful in the words of the Chachamim, even greater than the words of the Torah. Shedivrei Torah yesh ben esei v'lo sasei. The words of the Torah have both positive and negative commandments that have ramifications for various punishments. But the divrei sofrim kol ha'oiver al divrei sofrim chayiv misa. But anybody who then transgresses the words of the sages, then he's chayiv misa, as the pasuk says. The pasuk that's quoted is uporetz geder yishchenu nachash. One who is breaking down the walls, referring to the walls that the Chachamim made to safeguard the Torah, then he'll be bitten by a snake, referring to a chiyuv of misa. Maybe he'll say, if indeed the rabbinic enactments have so much substance, why aren't they written down? That's what the pasuk means when it says, making books, there is no end. There's no limit. The lahag, the rest of the pasuk says, harbe yigias basar. Omra papa brei derav acha bar abba mishmei derav acha bar ula. Melamed is come to teach shekol hamalig al divrei chachamim nidon bitzoya rotachas. Here using the word velahag to mean, and anybody who is malig, anybody who then makes fun, jests at the words of the chachamim and scoffs at them, then he's going to be judged with tzoyas rotachim, with boiling feces. And that's the drasha of Yegias Bosar. Maskif la Rava. Rava asks on this drasha, Miksiv lag. Does it say in the pasuk V'lag harbe Yegias Bosar? No, it says V'lahag. Lahag ksiv. Elo kol hahoige bohen Toyem tam basar. Anybody who thinks and studies the words of the Chachamim, then it's positive. Then they will actually taste the tam of delicious meats and delicacies. In other words, even though it sounds like these are two extremes, but one really is mashlim the other. The first drasha is saying that one who scoffs at the words of the Chachamim, they makes light of it, makes fun of the words of the Chachamim, that person will be then given tsoya rotachas. On the other hand, the flip side is those who appreciate and study and think into the words of the Chachamim, so they will actually be benefiting by tasting all of the nuances, just like the tam of basar. Tanu Rabbanon, it says in the Brisa, Maiseh Rabbi Akiva shahaya chavush bebeis ahasurin. Rabbi Akiva was put into prison. V'haya Rabbi Yoshua Hagarsi mesharsoi. And Rabbi Yoshua Hagarsi was then attending to the needs of Rabbi Akiva. Bekol yoim v'yoim hayu machnisin l'mayim b'mida. Every day they would permit him to bring Rabbi Akiva a certain measurement of water. Yom echad matzoi shomer beis hasurim. One day, the guardsman then stopped Yoshua Hagarsi. Omar lo, he said to him, Hayoim meimecha merubim shema lachtor beis hasurim ata tzorich. You have too much water that you're bringing, Rabbi Akiva. Maybe you're going to use it to then soften up the dirt and then dig out and escape from prison. Shofa chetzion v'nasan l'chetzion. He then poured out half of it and he left the other half. Kisheba'et Rabbi Akiva, when Rabbi Yehoshua Garsi appeared before Rabbi Akiva, Omar lo Yoshua, Ein ata yodea shezokin ani v'chayai tluyin b'chayecha. Don't you realize that I'm old and that my life is dependent on what you then bring me? Sach loy kol oisa hamura. He told over to Rabbi Akiva what transpired. Omar lo, Rabbi Akiva said to him, Ten li mayim she'etel yodai. Bring me water so I can wash my hands before I eat. Omar lo, lishtois ein magin lito yadecha magian. You don't have water enough to drink and you're going to then use water to then wash your hands. Omar lo, ma'ese shechayav naleh misa. What can I do? Because if a person doesn't wash their hands, he's chayav misa. Mutav amus misas atzmi v'lo evor al das chaverai. It is better that I should die the death of not drinking enough water than to die the death of being over, transgressing the words of my comrades. Omru, they said, Loi tam klum ad shehevi lo mayim v'notel yadav. They testified about Rabbi Akiva that he didn't eat anything until he washed his hands. Kisheshamu chachamim bedavar. When the chachamim heard what transpired, Amru, they said, Ma bezignusoi kach bialduso al achas kama v'kama. If this is how Rabbi Akiva behaves in his old elderly age, then certainly how much more so did he behave in this way when he was younger, when he had koyach and strength. Umab beisa asurin kach. If this is how he behaves when he's put into prison and he's limited, how much more so when he was free and he's able to then have his own opportunities to do other things, how much more so was he going to then be very, very particular about these halachos of the Chachamim. Rabbi Yehuda, Omar Shmuel. Once we talk about the importance of mayim rishonim, of washing before eating a bread meal, b'shah shetiken shloimo eruvin v'nitzilas yadayim yotza baskol. The Gemara tells us that it was an enactment of Shlomo HaMelech. He was masakein netilas yadayim. Netilas yadayim was in order to then be a safeguard for those who would not want to metame their hands for eating truma, kachim. And also eruvin. Eruvin refers to eruvei chatzeiros. That he saw that there would be concern if a person were to then walk from a Reshus HaYachid to another Reshus HaYachid that is owned by somebody else. He may be apt to then walk from a Reshus HaYachid to the Reshus HaRabim. So therefore, Shlomo HaMelech enacted Eruvei Chatzeiros to enable a person to then walk between two different Chatzeiros, two different Reshus HaYachid. Says the Gemara, when he made those enactments, a bas kol emanated from Shamayim. Va'omra and stated, Beni, a pasuk, im chacham libecha yismach libi gam ani. Va'omer chacham beni v'samach libi. Because of your wiseness, my son, you rejoice my heart. Va'ashiva charfi. And I will then be able to then give back and retort to those who disgrace me. Dorash Rava, my dichsi, what's meant by the following pasuk? Lecha doidi, come, my beloved one. Neitze hasode, let us go out to the field. Nalina bikfarim, let us stay overnight in the villages. Nashkima lekromin, let's get up in the vineyards. Nira im paracha hagefen, let us see if the gefen flowers. Pitach hasmadar, that the gefen is going to then also blossom. Hinetzu harimoinim, that the pomegranates will also blossom. Shom atenes doidai loch, there I will give my love to you. Says the Gemara to make the following drasha: Lecha doidi neitze hasodeh. Come, my beloved one, let us go out to the field. Omra knesset Yisrael v'nakadosh baruch hu. Riboinoi shel olam. Al tidineni ki yoshri krochim. Don't judge me like those who are then in the marketplaces. Because over there, yesh bohen gezel va'arayos v'shua shav v'shua sheker. Instead, HaKadosh Baruch Hu peer at those who are in the kfarim. Sorry, those are in the field. Neitzei hasod, let's go out to the field. Boy areko talmidei chacham she'oiskin b'Torah mitoich dechak. From there I will show you how those talmidei chachamim are oiskin in Torah, even amongst poverty. Nalina b'kfarim, let us dwell in the kfarim, in the villagers. Al tikrei b'kfarim ele b'koifrim. I want you to see the koifrim who are disloyal to you. B'vareka zara shel Esav she'ishpat len toiva v'hen kafru b'cha. Take a look at the descendants of Esav, how they then, after you were mashpia all types of good, they became disloyal and were koifer in you. Nashkima lekrami, let us get up in the vineyards. Who are these vineyards? Elu bate knesios, ubate midrashos. Like it says, kerem beyavne, rows of students learning the Torah. Nira im parcha hagefen. Let us see if the gefen is flowering. Elu bale mikro, which is the beginning of the Torah process, of learning process, the Torah shebichsav. Pitach hasmadar, if it has blossomed. Elu bale mishnah, further interpretation, explanation of the Torah shebichsav. Heineitzu harimoinim, if the rimoinim, the pomegranates, have blossomed. Elu bale gemara, a further understanding and explanations, svaras, of the halachas that are in the Mishnah and the Torah shebichsav in the Torah. Sham etenes doidi loch, there I will show my love to you. Erecha kevoidi ugoidli, there I will show you my glory and my greatness. Shevach bonai bonoisai, the praise of my children and my daughters. Omar Rav Hamnuno, my dichsi, what's meant by the following pasuk? Vaydaber shloishes alofim moshol vayishiroi chamisha va'alef. And these were, and he spoke 3,000 misholim, and there were his song that was 1,005. Melamed Shoma Shlomo al kol dover v'dover shel Torah shloishes alofim moshol. On every matter of the Torah, he spoke 3,000 moshol. Al kol limed das, al kol dover shel sofrim chamisha ve'elef tamim. On every matter of the divrei sofrim, he gave 1,005 ta'amim, straightforward explanations and reasonings behind them. Dorash Rava explained the following drasha, my dichsiv, vayoyser shahaya kaheles chacham, oid limei das es ha'am. Beyond that which kaheles, referring to Shlomo Melech, was a wise man, was that he taught das to the people. V'izein, and he listened, v'chikir, and he scrutinized, tikein mesholim harbe, he established many different mesholim. Limei das za'am refers to the agmre besimone ta'amim ve'asbro b'mai dedomi lei, that he said, I will teach Simonim and Tamim, different trop of the words that are in the Torah, and it explained what is the explanation, what is the dimyan, the comparison of these things. V'izein v'chiker tikei mesholim harbe. He listened and he scrutinized and he established many mesholim. Omar Ula, Omar Rabbi Elazar. B'tchila haisa Torah doime lekfifa. At first the Torah was compared to a basket. It was hard to pick up. She'ein la oznaim, didn't have the handles. It's a play on the words v'izein. Until Shlomo Melech came and he made holders. He held things to hold on to the basket. Says Rashi, v'asoloi oznayim. He made handles. Shetikin Eruvin v'yodayim v'gazar al hashnios la'arayis. He made Eruvin and also Netilas Yadayim, which we saw the Gemara quoted before. And now Rashi adds also he was gazar on shnios la'arayis, that certain types of familiar relationships, those should not then be permitted to then get married, even if they're not the closest of the family. He made a safeguard there as well. That explains it in Yevamos. Through this, oichazin Yisrael mitzvahs, shenisrachaku min ha'aveiro. For this, that enables Klal Yisrael to then perform the mitzvahs, to hold on to the Torah and stay away from aveiros. Kederch shenoach le'echos b'kli sheyesh lo beis yad. Just like a person wants to pick up a heavy basket but doesn't have the handles, he's not able to pick it up very easily. But the person who has the handles can pick it up. So too, a person can pick up the laws of the Torah and fulfill the Torah using the safeguards that Shlomo Melech then enacted in order to then help him to distance himself from the wrong things and perform the right things.